Optical Flow is a new feature in EDIUS 8.3. When using Optical Flow, it needs to create a motion vector for each pixel in a video frame in order to predict what the next frame will be. The Optical Flow in EDIUS does this in real time. To spare you all the science behind it, it can make slow motion look smoother. In previous versions of EDIUS, we had nearest neighbor and frame blending, and now we have Optical Flow. But what is the difference between these interpolation methods? I have created a simple test to show what the difference is. This is a short movie of a square moving from left to right. On the top left, I have the frame numbers. The length of this is 15 frames and the project frame rate is 24p. I move my cursor with the arrow key, one frame at a time. You see that each movement of the cursor displays a unique number. I press Alt-E to open the speed dialog and I slow down the segment to 50%. I leave the default at nearest neighbor. Let's see what happens. As you can see, the length is twice of that of the original clip. This means that EDIUS needs more frames to fill the time. You can see that from the second frame, the frames are duplicated. You can see it when I move my cursor with the arrow key. I can make 2 jumps before the number on the top left changes. Each jump is a frame. This indicates the duplication of frames with a nearest neighbor interpolation. I go to the speed dialog again by pressing Alt+E. I change the interpolation method to frame blending. If I go through the clip frame by frame, you can see that there is a blended frame in between the original frames. This is different from the straight copy we saw in nearest neighbor. If you look at a moving square, you can see the blend of the position of the squares of 2 frames. Keep this in mind. I open the speed dialog again and change the interpolation method to Optical Flow. If I go through the clip frame by frame, we see an original frame and then an interpolated frame. If we look at a square, there is no blend. There is a square which looks like it was in the original. Let me put the frame blend and the Optical Flow side by side so you can see the difference. Frame blend blends the frames as you can see, but in Optical Flow, the frame shows one object which is created with the Optical Flow technology. Let's look at an example with an asset from a camcorder. This is footage from a dance company doing a warm-up. The footage is 29.97i, upper field, AVC Intra 100. My project matches the frame rate of my asset. I select the clip and press Alt-E to open the speed dialog. I'll slow down the clip to 50%. In the field options, I leave everything at default. If I play back the clip, you can see that the slow motion is not fluent, a bit stuttery. Remember that nearest neighbor makes straight copies of frames. I open the speed dialog again and set the interpolation method to Optical Flow. Let me play it back. This time, the slow motion is smooth. In this clip, there's a lot of movement, and Optical Flow does a pretty good job. All this is done in real time in EDIUS 8.3. As good as it looks, Optical Flow will not make high frame rate cameras obsolete. You still get the best slow motion if you shoot at higher frame rates. But in reality, most editors end up seeing great moments for slow motion which are shot at normal frame rates, often the same as the timeline. Because of the nature of optical flow, it can introduce warp-like artifacts in the slow motion. If that happens, you will need to check if one of the other interpolation methods gives you better results. Let's look at an example. This clip is 2997p. The project is also 29.97p. I open the speed dialog and type 40 in the rate dialog box. I leave the field option on nearest neighbor. If I play back the clip, you can see that it's stuttery. Let's try to smooth it a bit by changing the interpolation method to optical flow. As you can see, it is smoother, but as the car exits, it creates a warp effect and both cars have ghosting. On this shot, optical flow cannot be used to achieve good results. This is a 120 fields per second clip from a GoPro. My project is set at 24 frames per second. I set the frame rate of the clip to 24 in a bin. This way, the clip will play back at 24 on the timeline, which will be in slow motion. I set the interpolation method to optical flow and set the speed to 2%. Optical flow certainly does help to create nice slow motion effects. In EDIUS 8.3, the DVD Blu-ray application gets a new feature, format conversion. You can upscale, downscale, and do frame rate conversions for DVD or Blu-ray authoring. For example, if you have an ultra-high definition project, you can author and burn DVD or Blu-rays straight from the timeline. This is an ultra-high definition project. The frame rate of this project is 23.98. This timeline has assets with mixed frame rates and frame sizes. I go to Export via the drop-down underneath the recorder monitor. You can also open the Burn to Disk app with a key combination Shift plus F11. The new format converter enables me to go straight to DVD or Blu-ray from this ultra-high definition timeline. You can see that Blu-ray is selected, and EDIUS offers a down-convert preset of 1920 by 1080 at a frame rate of 23.98. Under the Format selection box, you will see the settings of your project. This project is 3840 by 2160 and the frame rate is 23.98. Back to the conversion settings. You can encode to different specifications. Click the drop-down to make the other Blu-ray presets visible. The list of available presets depends on the project frame rate. Later on, I will show some examples. At this time, I use the 1920 by 1080 at 59.94i preset. I leave the codec on H.264 and set the menu to no menu. In the Movie tab, you can adjust the settings to your liking. At this time, I leave everything at automatic. In the next option, I adjust my settings so EDIUS authours to hard drive so I can burn at a later time. When doing a format conversion, it is a good idea to check the output file first before committing to a burn. I have completed my settings and I click Create Disk. EDIUS gives me a message telling me that a format conversion may affect the quality of the image. Do you wish to continue? In the same window, you can also see the project settings and the target conversion settings. I click Yes. The output is created with a format conversion. Since I'm not burning to a Blu-ray disc at this time, the process stops with this message. I'll encode to DVD format from the same ultra-high definition project. From this 23.98 ultra-high definition project, I get the following options to encode: 720 by 480 at 59.94i and 720 by 576 at 50i. I choose the 50i preset. I go to the Movie tab and change my audio to Dolby AC3. After I have completed the audio adjustment, I go to the Right tab and choose my destination folder. I click Create Disk and the information window pops up to show me the project settings and the target conversion settings. I click Yes to continue. If you want to check the quality of the conversion after it's completed, you can use GV Browser or any other player. If you are satisfied with the quality, you can go back to EDIUS, open the Disk Burner app from the Tools menu. In the Disk Burner app, you can select the DVD image folder if you want to burn a DVD disc, or the BMDV folder if you are burning a Blu-ray disc. You can also burn directly without checking the quality if you need to. As I promised, I will give some examples of available presets with different project settings. To the left, we see the Blu-ray output options from the 3840 by 2860 Ultra High Definition project at 23.98. To the right, we see the output options from the 9020 by 1080 project at 59.94i. You can see that there are less options. I replaced the image to the left of the Ultra High Definition project with the Blu-ray options of a 9020 by 1080 50i project. We get an equal number of presets of the same frame size but with format-specific frame rates. The new frame rate converter of the DVD Blu-ray application of EDIUS will save you time. Proxy Mode in EDIUS is very helpful when you have footage on the timeline which your system cannot play in real time, like 4K assets or assets in a highly compressed or uncompressed codec. With Proxy Mode, the editing becomes easier on a range of systems. In EDIUS 8.3, the Proxy Mode gets a new feature. You are now able to set the size of the proxies which EDIUS creates. The new setting for proxy creation is available in the system settings of EDIUS. Under Application, you will see a new setting named Proxy. There are 3 settings to choose from. Small, this is the setting previous versions of EDIUS used. It has a frame size of 352 by 288. Medium makes proxies with a frame size of 960 by 540. Large makes proxies with a frame size of 1920 by 1080. All proxies are created in MPEG 2. To enable Proxy Mode, go to the menu bar on top of the EDIUS monitors, go to Mode, and click on Proxy Mode to enable it. The P will turn blue. You can also see it in the information status bar at the bottom of the timeline. The word Proxy Mode will appear to the left of the pause buffer indicator. I'll switch back to high resolution mode. This is an ultra high definition project. In this project, I have different assets in the bin, in different containers, using different codecs. The first clip we see here is an uncompressed YUV MOV clip, 3840 by 2160. The second clip is a GoPro AVC MP4, 2704 by 1536. The third clip is an uncompressed clip, 10-bit YUV, 3840 by 2160. I add these clips to the timeline and play them back. On the notebook I'm working on, these files can't play in real time. This is where Proxy comes in. I'll switch to Proxy Mode. When switching into Proxy Mode, what happens depends on the Proxy Mode settings in the user settings. Per default, EDIUS is set to automatically create proxies. I will leave this at a default setting. When you switch to Proxy Mode for the first time, a background job will start showing the number of files for which a proxy will be created at a set quality. You can check the background job indicator in the information status bar, or you can open the background job window. To do this, go to the menu bar on top of the EDIUS monitors. Go to View and click Background Job, and the background job window will open. Per default, the proxy is created in the same directory where the asset is. The extension of a proxy file is .proxy. When you switch the timeline to Proxy Mode, the assets on the timeline will show a checkered pattern as another visual indicator that the EDIUS timeline is in Proxy Mode. After the proxies are created, the timeline can play in real time on my system in Proxy Mode. If I switch back to high resolution, you can see that my system can't handle the high resolution files in real time. If you have deselected Automatically create proxies in the Proxy Mode settings under Application in the User settings, EDIUS gives you the ability to manually create proxies. To do this, go to the menu bar on top of the EDIUS monitors, go to File, and go to Create Proxies. You can choose to create proxies for all. This creates proxies for all assets on the timeline and in the bin. Bin. This creates proxies for assets in the bin. Timeline. This creates proxies for assets on the timeline only. There are a few rules which you need to take into account. If you set the proxy to a certain setting, let's say high, and the proxy files are created, you cannot recreate the proxies with a different setting, for example, small. Proxies can only be created for clips which have the following frame rates. Proxies can be created for clips with an alpha channel, clips with an audio sampling rate other than 48,000 Hz, stills, and titles. In EDIUS 8.3, there is an improvement in the bin view. In the bin view menu, you now have the option for clip, thumbnail, tile, detail, and icon. In tile mode, you are now able to see the thumbnail of an asset with the in and out time code and the duration between in and out of a clip. I'll add some clips to the project so we can see how this works. I have created some catalogs in GV Browser, the assets management application that's included with EDIUS 8. To import these catalogs, I'll use the source browser. In the source browser, there is a Giphy browser folder giving you access to all the clips in Giphy browser. Since I want to use a catalog I have created, I go to Catalogs and I add this catalog to the bin. Adding a catalog is done by selecting it, right-clicking, and then you have the option to choose Add to Bin or Add Transfer to Bin. I'll use Add to Bin. In the EDIUS Assets bin, you will see an entry Giphy Browser, under which you will find the catalogs. If I select a catalog, you'll see the thumbnails of the assets. To make it easier to see the clips and the information included, I close the folder palette of the bin by pressing the key combination Ctrl+R. Now, only the clips palette is visible. The bin is in clip view mode. I'll switch it to tile to see the thumbnails of the clip with the in and out time code and of course the duration. At this time, we only see the clip names of the P2 assets. The reason we don't see any other information is because the thumbnail size is currently at 50%. In EDIUS 8, you have the ability to scale the thumbnails with this slider. The size of the thumbnails has an influence on the amount of information you can see. If I increase the size of the thumbnails, you can see how this has effect on the information. When importing assets to the bin, the in and out values show the absolute in and out of a clip. If you use the EDIUS player monitor to make selections, the in and out points of the assets in the bin will show the in and out points of your last selection. Let's look at an example. I double-click this clip to open it in the player monitor. I'll adjust the endpoint of the clip to 8:13:57:00. This is where the car is at the monument of the sea turtle coming out of an egg. I also set a new out point where the car is out of frame at 8:13:59:25. As you can see, the timecode of the clip in the bin has changed automatically, as did the duration. The thumbnail still shows the thumb of the absolute endpoint. This image shows a comparison of the information. To the left is just after I imported the clips, and to the right is after I made a selection in the player window. You can see that while the timecode changed, the thumbnail stayed the same. If I double-click the clip in the bin to reload it in the player window, the thumbnail refreshes, and it shows the current in. I'll add a clip to the timeline and go back to the bin to select another clip. This image shows a comparison of the thumbnails. To the left, the thumbnail as it was when the clip was imported, and to the right, the thumbnail after I have set a new in and out point and double-clicked it in the bin. Let's take another clip. This is the frame of the absolute in point. This is 8:15:24:28. I set a different in point where the truck covers the frame. I use the numpad to type in the timecode 8:16:18:06. I also set a new out point 8:16:26:28. If we check the clip in the bin, the in and out information has changed to reflect the new in and out point I have just set. I add this selection to the timeline. Let me add another clip after it as you would do in an edit. If I go back to the clip I had earlier to select another part, when I double-click it, the thumbnail in the bin changes from a road with trees to the truck. This happens because that was the last endpoint I used. If I have a viewing list, which tells me to use the part with a start time code 8/16/1806, I will be unable to locate that clip in the bin. On long clips from events like press conferences and weddings, this can be an issue, because information and thumbnails will change with different selected shots. To avoid this from happening, after you have dropped the selection of the clip on the timeline, you can press X to clear the in and out point on the original clip. Or, depending on your workflow, you can use subclips. Let me show you how that works. I take this clip, and I will select 3 shots and add them to the bin as subclip. To do this, you can either use a button, this one, or assign a keyboard shortcut to this function in the user settings. I have assigned the key combination Alt plus B. Let me go ahead and make 3 subclips. After you have made the subclips, it is a good thing to organize them in a separate folder. This way, you have all your original assets in one folder and the subs in another. Leave the folder you are working in selected, do a search by type, and set video sub as a search parameter. Select all the subs, cut and paste them in the folder you have made for subs. I can click each of the subs and their thumbnail does not change. This is great if you have EDLs or viewing lists. When you need to go back to the original clips, it is easy to find them in the folder with originals.